Well, hello, everyone. Glad you could join us tonight. We have a fantastic interview coming up. I believe it is. It's one of the persons who has used our bot and first the palm light, and then decided for her clinic to buy the large canopy. That's like 3 feet long by 2 feet wide. So that's this guy here. That's like, this is the mini canopy, but you'd have to imagine 3 of these side by side and two like this, 2 high for treating treating anywhere on the body with this 3 foot long by 2 feet wide large canopy. And she decided to buy one of those and is having fantastic success. So there's the bright red, the 660 nanometer, and there's the near infrared. You can see the purplish look dots. So that's the wavelengths that she's using for her customers, her clients, and have had really, really good results. Her name's Blaise Sargeant, and she runs a clinic called Red Light Boutique. And we've, over the past year and a bit, she not only helped me in a challenging time I had, but she was, through that we were able to end up helping each other. She got the big canopy, and I got much faster treatment before I left on a large trip to England. So another exciting thing that we have a winner. The July winner is Marilyn Lenkowski of New York. Marilyn, congratulations on winning a Palm Ultimate. That's one of these devices. That was for the month of June. So obviously you watched 1, 2, 3, or 4 times the light, the show that we have, and your ballots were entered in, and we had you became the winner after we did our random draw. So congratulations, Marilyn, and we'll work on getting you one of the lights, the Ultimate. So the Ultimate is a $1,300 device. This is this device here. And it has the 660 nanometer wavelength, the bright red, and you can see how far that penetrates right through my hand. And this is the 810 nanometer, which, if I took a power meter and measured it on the other side of your hand, there's anywhere from 10 to 30 times more energy coming through that part of, depending on where you're over what kind of tissue, because of the longer wavelength, in this case 810, and then we have the Super Palm. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy tonight's interview, and with that, we're going to just start off with our Tom Talk 2.
15 years back, I realized that light could make a huge difference on the body. I ended up designing this very powerful light using LED technology. With this amount of very high power density, it can reach through the tissues and travel right to the joints. But the key is that the power density and the area is extremely important to deliver that light into that. The mitochondria receives that light and converts that energy into the cell. So it's like giving the cell super high octane fuel, and they run like a jet, and they're able to do all the things for repair in that. What are the products we have? Well, we have a small device, which is actually large when it comes to light therapy. You have a fairly large area of light and a high power density that can be used for different parts of the body, like your finger, shoulder, back, neck, knees, ankle, anywhere on the body. And then we have what's called the mini canopy, which is about a foot square in size. And then we have our full-size canopy, which is basically 6 of the mini canopies. And then we have another device, which is the helmet, And that device can help for mental issues, for brain injuries, for concussions, for PTSD, TBI, all of those kinds of things. And there's new research out there that shows it could be helpful for not only strokes, but dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's, and just different brain issues. Our plans are to move this technology into every area of the world where there's pain and inflammation, which is basically everywhere, and to expand that so people understand all the applications where this technology can be used to help them in their health in the body as a wellness device. People are looking for how they can treat themselves without drugs.
All right. So we will have next on is Blaise Sargeant. She started Red Light Boutique. She does all sorts of physio work on the body, special manipulation, that kind of thing. And she ended up being very, very helpful to me in working on my lower back, which every once in a while still I'll do something, and then it comes on, and thankfully I can use the powerful red light that I have to be able to treat myself. So instead of lasting months, I'm talking turnaround within a week. And then you have somebody with Blaise's abilities to be able to even fine tune that a little bit more. It's quite amazing what she was able to help me with. She has a clinic in Ontario, Hamilton, Ontario. And anyways, I think you're going to enjoy this interview. Please remember that at the end of this, we recorded this earlier today. She couldn't make it for tonight. So it is a recording of our interview. But after the interview is over, we'll get into a short discussion about the products, and then we'll get into question and answers. So please get those questions ready. And you can also submit them in earlier, because that will also help us. If it's a very particular question, we can try our best. So here we go. Okay, we're good. So how are you doing there, Blaise?
No complaints over here. I'm doing the job. The job's getting done, and there's a lot of positivity with it. So I'm happy about that. How about you?
Yeah, very good, very good. Thanks. So you got your Red Light Boutique sign there. You started that about a year ago, right?
Yeah, I'm going up on a year next month with the panel, but a little bit longer with the handhelds, which is what made me decide to take this route.
Right, right. So tell me, first of all, when you first saw about red light therapy, were you skeptical?
Yes and no. Yes, in that, all the medical claims I wasn't too sure about. Like, oh yeah, it will help arthritis, or, take away pain. However, I was a bit exposed with my face. So at a more superficial level, more aesthetic, I thought, oh, it was fabulous. So skeptical, but open.
Right. And how did we first meet? How did you learn about us?
Well,
and then
yeah. That was cool. We have a mutual person between us who would have referred you to come see me initially when you were having some back things going on, right? And then when you had my treatment, you said to me, the only thing you're missing here is red light therapy. And I was like, okay. And then showed up at my door with a device, and I tried it for 2 weeks initially, felt the difference immediately in my arm, because that was my problem area, my arm.
Yeah.
And it was actually quite astounding, because I had been working on this arm. I have great mobility, but before, whenever I would move, I would get pain, right? So a little bit of overuse, constantly inflamed. Even though I had great mobility, it still gave me pain from the work that I do. I'm very hands-on. So trying it made me a believer. And then I got the handheld, and I was using it with my own son, who had a knee problem. He was constantly having knee pain and swelling, and he was on the bench for about a year. and tried it on him. And he was the deciding factor because we had been doing everything under the sun, trying to figure out how to get this knee to be back to a functioning knee because he's a D1 athlete.
Right.
And it was the red
what
light.
so you used the light on his knee, and then what happened? How long did it take before he started seeing?
Well, he was home for the summer last year.
Right.
So he would come home in May. So from May to August, he was using the handheld diligently. He's very motivated. And by, I think, the second week, he was like, Mama, I don't know. I don't know how this is even possible. I don't even know if this is psychosomatic or if it's, you know, like if it's all in my head, but I don't feel the same. My knee feels totally different than when I started 2 weeks ago. So
Right.
yeah, and then he of course continued to use it. He used to call it my magic light. So now it's not a magic light, now it's red light therapy. So he has respect for the name now, you know?
Yeah, that is neat. That is neat. So that's your first experience seeing it on somebody else other than yourself.
Yes, firsthand. I was using it on my clients, the handheld.
Okay.
Once I had it in my possession, I was using it and there was no complaints. Everyone loved it.
Yes.
Just amazed at how fast it works. Even today, I had a woman, she came in, she's been suffering with hip pain on her right side for years. Okay, she's a 56-year-old woman, not fit, but not unhealthy, but constant aching, nagging pain in her right hip, right?
Yeah.
She did one session and she came in today to collect some water. I carry Kangen water as well. She came in to collect some water because in tandem with the therapy, it's fantastic. And she was telling me, I don't know if it's in my head, but I slept really well last night and I had no pain, less than no pain in my hip, which I've had in my hip consistently for years. She's like, it's not possible that it works that fast, is it? I said, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and you're not the first.
It was really funny. I was at a event where, well, it was in Angola, New York, and we had people that have heard my advertisements on one of the radio stations, and this woman, younger woman, bit overweight. She had broke her ankle about 8 months earlier, and they did surgery on her ankle. And she says, like, when I walk, it's kind of like that's the pain that is there, and, you know, especially when I move it a certain way. But I'm walking, but it's pretty, you know, and so she decides, okay, I'll treat it, you know. So she does the treatment, and like 15 minutes later, she stands up and she starts moving her ankle, like rotating the thing, and
She's
all of a sudden,
looking for the pain. Yeah. She's looking for the pain.
mouth is wide open.
Yeah.
Okay, now I would not suggest somebody who comes off of this that quickly to try this, but she started immediately jumping up and down.
Yeah. It's amazing. They feel so good. They just want to go, right? But
Yeah,
dude, your inflammation just came down. Slow down.
give it time now to do the full healing, you know, that needs to take place.
Exactly.
Another woman, she could hardly walk with pain in the bottom of her heel. It was so intense. She had a cane. And she said, look, I'm walking. This is after, right then and there, right after the treatment, she's walking without her cane.
Right.
And she says, I don't have pain in my heel.
Yeah.
And we had another guy who diabetic foot ulcer had caused his foot to be part of his foot to be amputated and some toes on the other foot, and he was in severe pain.
Yeah.
And so he spent about he used the mini canopy, which is your canopy is the large one, which is the full
Right.
one, which is 6 of the minis. But she used the mini canopy on her husband on these areas, and he was pain free after the treatment.
Yeah.
And
You know what's
here he's been-
interesting? You know what's interesting, Tom? I have several people who are arthritic, including 2 clients who are they have rheumatoid arthritis, and all I do is I treat the gut. So I use the panel to treat from the neck down. So above the thighs to the, the base of the chin here. So sometimes we do top and bottom, depends on how much pain they're in. And they come out of it not feeling pain in the joints.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I want to tell you about this woman. Her name is Denise. She gave me permission to speak about her today. She has had rheumatoid arthritis for the last 8 years. And she's been on 3 different medications for it. She has been a client of mine for 3 years. And when she started with me, she was very stiff, a lot of pain, as you could imagine. But, movement is what typically makes things feel better. Glide those joints. So that's how we started in that capacity. And she felt a lot better. She took a little bit of time off at the end of the first year. Then she came back to me and we were doing exercises again in February. So she came back in February to do another plan, another program, and started with the red light. So from February through to now, she's been using the light twice a week. And she barely has any flare-ups, like barely, and she's completely off her meds. And that's not because she chose to come off her meds. It's because she is under the care of a specialist. And the specialist is just mind blown that she doesn't have pain, right? He's like, in all his years of dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, he's never seen anyone go into remission. That was the word he used. So she's officially in remission now. She told me this a month ago.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's nice that he actually recognized this.
Yeah. He's just surprised, really surprised about it.
I'm not suggesting you don't go to your doctor to check things out. As a matter of fact, one needs to do that. But just excuse me for a sec. There we go. One needs to do that. But one of the things is that very, very likely, there's probably about a 99% chance that the doctor knows nothing about this.
Well, he didn't. He didn't. What he told her in the beginning was, if you're using it and you feel good using it, go nuts. And she continued to go nuts, and now she's off her medications.
Yeah.
And she told me too that her insurance company decided that they're not going to cover the full amount of the meds anymore. And it's almost $1,500 for a prescription.
Wow. Well, I just ran into somebody today. He's shoulder pain. Okay.
I love those. I love those. It's like magic. Yeah.
So, and a good friend of mine who is also a dentist recommended this light therapy and to get a unit. And then he went to his doctor, and the doctor said, no, just cold compress
Still on the
for
cold
the next
compress.
2 to 3 weeks. And, but not, and I says, but your doctor is not telling you, not recommending, or doesn't know anything about light therapy. And just because your doctor isn't recommending this light therapy, there's no problems in doing it. But here he's given his wife the unit to use, but he won't use it himself because
his doctor said,
who knows nothing
right.
about red light
the crazy thing about that is that he clearly doesn't know anything about rice either, right? Because even the fellow who invented the rice method has retracted that and said, listen, stop with the rice, guys. Okay, like
sorry, rice, for those that don't know what rice means. Say what rice is.
Okay, so that's basically when you have an injury, they recommend that you rest it, you ice it, you compress it, and you elevate it. So that's your rice method. Now, the only part of that is, one, you don't want to be resting because you want to have the mobility. If you don't move it, you lose it. That saying, right? And that's what happens when you have an injury. So even though it's painful, you have to work through the range. But what causes things to move well? Heat, as opposed to ice, which makes it constricted and more painful if you're trying to move it. Or it will mask the pain and you'll move beyond the range you're supposed to be moving in safely, right? If you apply the heat or the red light, especially, because the red light also decreases the inflammation and brings down any swelling. But they're still recommending ice. Now, ice should only be used maybe initially for the first 48 hours, just to bring down any type of swelling or internal bleeding, things like that.
Yeah. But even now, what they're starting to learn is the ice actually slows down the healing process. So
Exactly.
it's actually better to go through a little more of the pain, let the light carry you through, and you're going to speed up that healing so much faster.
100%. So the fact that their doctor is still recommending that will show that they're not even up to times on ice, much less red light therapy. But more and more I'm observing people are coming in here and they're saying, I spoke to my doctor about red light therapy for this, and they encouraged me to use it.
Yeah, that's new.
So,
That's new. It's
new. Because
starting.
when I started initially, it was a thing where we had to convince the doctor to sign off on it. Because of course, everybody wants to listen to their medical practitioner, as they should. But yeah, and now more and more people are walking through the door and said, my doctor says that I can use it safely for pain management.
Yeah.
So
and
that.
There's an organization, and I think I pointed to you in the early days, called the PBMFoundation.org, which says there's been over 100 million treatments, they figure, in the States with no write-ups on negative effects. So it's something that does not have the normal side effects that one would have with other things, including medication and you name it. So
it doesn't have the 3-minute, disclaimer, and this medication can
and in the
2/3
process,
of the commercial
your right arm may fall off, but that's okay.
But it's okay. Just be consistent.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So you just brought me to another story of another gentleman who was suffering with rheumatoid arthritis. He just got diagnosed, and they gave him some medication for it without testing, but was diagnosed. And he started taking the medications, which was making him a little bit crazy. And he said, so the doctor said, oh no, your body needs, I think it's a month to basically acclimatize to the medication to get the medication effective. And he's like, listen, if I have to take this medication for the next month, I'm going to be suicidal and I'm going to kill myself. So you guys need to give me something else. That's from the rheumatoid medication. So when he came through here and he started doing the red light, he came in on a cane, because he was in so much pain. By the time he left here, which he was with me for 8 weeks, no cane, walking normal, feeling fantastic. Right? But he did stop the meds. He did stop the meds, not at my recommendation, but more so because it was giving him really intense headaches. And he just stopped. And he said he felt fantastic. So I don't know what he's doing nowadays. That was about 5 months ago. But you reminded me of him with the talk about the medication. Yeah.
And one thing that you mentioned is the gut biome is so incredibly important that that we're learning more and more is coming out about that as you treat your gut, it can affect it can affect so many things in your body.
Absolutely.
Just because of the way they call the gut the second brain. There's things that are going on that
well, they communicate with each other, right? They communicate with each other. So
they don't realize that, they're starting to realize how complex the human body is. And my stance is that the body is incredibly designed. I mean, it's so intricate.
And
it just
the body wants to heal. The body wants to be better.
And so you start giving it red light, and we say red light, but it's also near infrared, and that whole term of photobiomodulation, light, photo being light, bio being biology, and modulation meaning you're changing things within the cells. And this is what's happening. That's why you're seeing such an incredible effect, with people. And it's crazy that they can see results even in, a lot of times they see a result even in the first treatment. Isn't that wild?
Well, let me give you another story, Tom. A woman, a doctor, actually. She's a doctor of neuromedicine. Forgive me if I said it wrong, but she's a head doctor in some capacity, right? So she would have called me at least 3 times to ask me a million questions. I would have had to direct her to your website, the research corner. I would have sent her papers on PBM, clinical trials, all of it, right? finally she calls me back and she says, listen, I just want to try it. Okay. So she takes advantage of I have a promotion running. Quick little plug. I have a promotion running. It's $67 for one session. But it also includes a body mass composition analysis, a consultation with me, and a lymphatic vibration session. So that was the promotion that she came in on. And after one session, she could not believe that her Achilles had no pain. She has a bit of a variance, so she has a lot of pain with her Achilles because she's very much into exercising and she's trying to bring down her weight and very diligent, all the rest of it. But she couldn't believe it. And then she bought a package and she's here twice a week. Yeah, she's absolutely loving it. And she's doctor. So that tells you something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I have another medical doctor who said he says every area of that that I did my training in, he has a special training called physiatry, sorry, which means recovery, means all kinds of things like for geriatrics, for all kinds of conditions where you're trying to return the patient or to normal,
some semblance of
close to normal.
normalcy. Yeah.
Yes, and so all these things and all his training, he says there was not one mention of light therapy. Now I learned that every area that I learned in my training, and it's a lot of different areas, healing, like wound healing, certain things with the brain, other, physio things, he said, all of these areas, light therapy can tremendously improve. And guess what? I didn't get one stitch of training of anything about light therapy. Like, how is it possible?
Well, I mean, to be fair, like for the last few decades, they don't get much training on nutrition either. So
yeah, that's another
and
challenge.
That's basic. I would say that would be one of the 4 pillars of health: eating, light, the sun, water, sleeping, basic stuff.
And you mentioned sleeping. That's one thing that we see over and over again, where people who get this light therapy, they have
like a bear in
hibernation.
A bear in hibernation. One of my guys walks in, he's like, "Oh, I slept like a bear in hibernation." Every single time he comes in. And another woman who came in today, I remember I mentioned her earlier about the hip. She said to me, she's like, "Do people tell you that they sleep like really heavy?" I said, "Yeah, they absolutely do." She said, "I went home that day and passed out on the couch." She said she hasn't passed out on the couch because she has sleeping things. Doesn't always sleep well. She said she can't remember the last time she passed out on the couch. She said an hour and a half later, she jumps up and she's like, "Oh my God." She said she hasn't rested that deeply in years. And that was one session. We're talking about the first session.
Okay, so here's another one that you're going to laugh at. One couple, husband and wife, came in here, more senior, and they both got a light treatment. And 2 days later, they had complained to their friend that the next day they slept through the night, and the next day they were so tired that it just like they were just super tired. And I said, "This is amazing. This is fantastic. Your body just knew that it wanted to shut down to try and get a bunch of repair going." And they couldn't see that. They couldn't
do you notice that when people are like low energy and they do this therapy for, I don't know, even a week, right? That they are like a battery charger. So they report that they're super tired, but then after that wears off, that fatigue from the healing that's happening while they're sleeping, they're like Energizer battery buddies. They're just
another woman I had. I talked to her like 3 days after, and she said, "I says, how did it go because of the light therapy?" She says, "I'm really disappointed." She said, I am hurting more than I did before the treatment." I says, And I says, boy, that's very, very unusual. You were,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, I was really, really hurting. And, I'm just starting to come out of it now. And I says, did you do anything different after the treatment or, what did, she says, oh yeah, well, I haven't been able to do this for years. I cleaned my entire basement out, and I
Yeah.
moved all sorts of stuff around and everything else
Yeah.
because I haven't been able to do that.
The
I
charge.
says,
You got the charge. That's what I call the
yeah,
charge. Yeah. They just want to
yeah,
go, go, go. And even though you tell them
and
slow down,
yeah, but she still couldn't figure it out that this
that
was
that's the
this is fantastic. Your
yeah.
body needed this
Yeah.
treatment, and you
Yeah.
would have felt if you didn't push yourself as much as you did because you felt so good,
That was
you
muscle
probably wouldn't.
soreness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Muscle soreness. Yeah. That's it.
You, you're stretching.
Tom, I'm sorry. I have to love and leave you guys. My person is here.
Oh,
But
fantastic.
yeah, but
Fantastic.
I have so many more stories for you, Tom. I know we get caught up in, but I do have so many fantastic stories over the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
And do definitely check out Red Light Boutique in the Hamilton, Ontario area. So if you
yeah,
look up Red Light Boutique in Hamilton, she's on the west side of Hamilton, Dundas. Fantastic place to go if you got any challenges. So, Blaise, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and being able to share your story. This is fantastic.
I appreciate you, Tom. And anytime, I'm happy to come on. Yeah, like I said, I have so many stories. There's so many,
And
I don't even know where to start.
wait till you be able to someday be able to get the helmet when it
Oh,
works in.
it's in the works, Tom. It's in the works. I told you I'm writing my proposal. It's coming, right? Just a matter of time. That's all it is.
All right. Okay. All the best. Thank you very much, Blaise.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, unfortunately, she had her client show up early, and so we couldn't keep going. She had more people to tell of their situations and how the big light has been so helpful to them. So I'll get into questions in a few minutes. I'll just talk about the products for a couple minutes here, and then we'll get into your questions. So we have three different devices in the Palm series. We have this one here. We have the Palm Professional, and then we have the Palm Ultimate. The Palm Professional is what we started with. It has a little lower power than the Palm Ultimate. The Palm Ultimate is actually 25% more power, which does help in speeding up things. So the Professional is $975. The Ultimate is $1,300. And both of them have the wavelength of 660, the bright red, and 810. It's just that the Ultimate we were able to figure out a way to push even more power out of these little devices. And then we developed and have on the market the Super Palm, which has the same power as the Ultimate on the red, the red wavelength of 660 nanometer. And then we have of the other wavelength, 1050. Now, 1050, when I look at this, it's totally invisible except for one little red LED in this corner. But you can actually see the little purplish glow in the camera. I can't see it when I'm looking at it. It's just like nothing's lit except that one little red LED. The 1050 nanometer, because it's a little longer wavelength than 810, has the potential to penetrate just a bit deeper, and it looks like we're getting feedback that some things seem to be helped a little faster. So both the Ultimate and the Super Palm are really great devices. So is the Professional, but have a little more behind them, with the Super being leading the pack. So that's our three Palm devices. And then we have we developed the helmet, which is this device here, which can go up and down on top. So it just comes down on top of your head like that. It's a little easier for me to Well, I guess I can show you. You just put this on top like this. It has the stand, and it has the red wavelength of 660, and then 810 nanometer is the other wavelength that's coming out of it. So it has that little bit of a purplish glow in the back here. You can kind of see it there. There's little dots. That's the 810, and then we have the other version, which is our premium device, which is the SunPowerLED Super Helmet, and the Super Helmet is like the Super Palm, which has the 1050 nanometer wavelength. So that is the two devices that we have in the Palm series. The super, so the regular helmet is 6,500, and then the Super Palm is additional $1,500 more for that. We have as well, instead of treating, let's say for larger areas, I mentioned about she was using the large canopy, which is, for those that didn't tune in right at the beginning, the large canopy is 3 times the length of this. So it's 3 of these devices and 2 times the width. So you can imagine it being that wide. So it's a 3-foot by 2-foot area. That's what she was using, the large canopy. And the large canopy is a $35,000 device for those who want to do clinics with a lot of optical power and see results. But this mini canopy is basically 1/6 of that. Or when it comes to palms, it's the equivalent of 15 palms in here in area. And about 12 times the power of one of these devices on either the 660 nanometer or the 810 nanometer. And we also have an upgrade on this device for additional $1,500 to the super mini canopy. So that is the normal one is $5,900, and the super mini canopy is an additional $1,500. So that's $7,400 for this device. So that's our roll up of devices. Now, I am also coming out with another device now, which will be used for more for oral stuff that's going on. We don't have it. It'll be about another month out there, but just telling you about it. It will be able to treat the whole upper palate, the jawline, and everything in one treatment. And you flip it around and you can treat the bottom. It's going to be about, optical power is going to be about a half of what one of these devices, a third to half of the actual optical power of this, all inside your mouth. So instead of trying to open up your jaw that big to put this whole thing inside, which obviously can't happen, we have this really slender device that will go inside the mouth quite easily and allow you to treat the upper part and the lower part of your mouth. We have a lot of dentists that are using this device here. We have a what we call the oral probe, and the oral probe has a fiber optic tube on it, which couples the light of one of the LEDs all the way out to the tip. So when I plug this in and put it on the 6, so this just snaps into your palm, and very, very easy to do. And when you do, then you can turn on the wavelength. And what do you see? You see the light coming out of the palm, out of the tip here. So you can treat inside your mouth with this oral device. And a lot of dentists use it. You can also focus on a specific tooth if you have a problem, or a specific problem that you have on part of the inside flesh of the mouth. And you can also get a little easier to the back of your mouth if you have problems in the back. But that's the oral device that you can pick up for the use with any one of the 3 devices, the professional, the ultimate, or the super palm, will all work with this. And if you're looking for one wavelength, there's the 660. If you want to work with the other wavelength, the 810 or 1050, you just move this probe over to the second hole, and that allows you then to treat with the other wavelength. So one hole for one wavelength, one hole for the other wavelength, and that's how you put it in there. So that's our different devices that we have. And I'll just explain something else here. Is some would say, oh, come on, you can buy some low cost devices on Amazon. Well, sure you can. And there's also some other companies out there. And really, it is low power stuff. So if you're just trying to get rid of some wrinkles, and that probably will help, okay? But when you want to try and treat your shoulder, devices like panels like this is not going to do much. Because let me just show you. They will, if I turn this on, notice there's only treatment spots here, 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 small areas of light that are used to, sorry, I didn't use a totally blank paper, but you can see that there's these spots in between that don't have any energy coming out of them. And so what even these guys will do, different ones, they'll take their sensor and they'll measure the light level, and they measure it right on top of the light, and they'll say, see, it's just as powerful as yours. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. It may be as powerful in that one spot, but it's really a polka dot effect of getting light into your body. So if that's all you've got to work with, then if I put that on the back of your shoulder or your shoulder, you only have those few spots of light that are coming out. So let me just show you the comparison so you recognize those spots there that are on there. Okay, I'll turn this off and I'll use our palm device. And it doesn't matter which one of the palms that you use. This is the same thing that'll happen. I turn it on, and what you don't see there is there's no dead spots anywhere in this light. So this whole area of light, whole area of where the light is coming through is super even. So if I put a measurement device and I move it along this area, it's very, very even in all these areas. So this ends up giving you much more power in this case in a 3-inch diameter circle than this other device. Imagine a 3-inch diameter circle. What do you get? You get 4 little spots of light that are coming down, as opposed to a continuous amount of light. That's the same when it comes to the large canopies. So if I had one of those large canopies here, off Amazon or some of the other companies, mostly built in China, you would have to squeeze it right down to a little tiny thing like this, if you could, which you can't squeeze their unit down to that, but if you could, now you're getting close to the power density. So you're taking all this power from way out here, spread out over this whole area with all these little dots, and you squeeze it down. Now you're coming close to the amount of optical power that we have coming out of our units. So if I go to the canopy here and I shine this light, I have so many, what I should do is I have so many LEDs here. It's just one after another, real close together. It's not like one here, one here, one here, one way down here. You know, like they're really high powered, a lot of LEDs. So we do show that in our comparison guide, where if you go into research and look at comparison, you can see how many LEDs per area. And in this case, I chose roughly a 4-inch by 4-inch area, which is roughly 100 square centimeters. The 100 square centimeters is, with our devices, far, far, far higher in LED count. And then each LED is driven very powerfully optically. So if I turn this on now, you don't see, all you see is one continuous light across this whole area here. Yeah, you see a little bit more spots here when you're looking, but what's actually coming to the skin is a very, very even amount of light. And that's why we can use, whether it's the palm can be used or the mini canopy. The mini canopy will help you get a little bit deeper yet because it's a much larger area. And area, as you get larger in an area, you actually end up going deeper because the light on the outside peripheral is actually scattering and going towards the some of that light is going towards the center line, and the light from the center is going there, so you have even deeper. So as you go bigger with the area, it actually helps to give you more depth. So that's something that we did in research. There's a lot of good stuff. Please, I want to remind everybody, please go to our www.sunpowerled.com. That's www.sunpowerled.com. We'd love to, if you would do us a favor, especially on the YouTube channel, SunPowerLED, you can subscribe to our information that we have, subscribe to the latest videos. And every time we release a new video, you will be notified that we have a new video up of somebody just like you saw tonight with Blaise or others, that doctors and researchers that we have. So please go there, give us a like. We love it, because if you give us a like, as I understand it, YouTube takes the number of likes and they start raising our visibility. So more and more people find out about our light and how, and therefore more people will not only hear about us, some will buy our product, others who will use their friend's unit will end up getting better. And that's a lot of fun when a lot of people get better. So that's our different devices. Please go to the SunPowerLED YouTube channel, like us, subscribe. And also we have a lot of information on our research tab on our SunPowerLED website as well. So definitely go to there as well. Okay, so now what I'd like to do, there's some questions that came up. Did we get a yes from Janet? Janet, we sent out a question to you, and we'd love to know if it's okay with you. So, okay, so there was a quick question here from, or actually, okay, one just mentioned, Janet had said, I have had my 1050 Super Palm 1050 for 2.5 years now. I use it every day, or someone in my household uses it. How much longer will it keep working since I'm approaching the 50,000 hour mark? Well, as a matter of fact, if you are using it 24/7, never shutting it off, in 2.5 years, you'd consume 20,000 hours. So you'd end up going for another 2.5 years, well, at least closer to 3 years, if we said 50,000 hours. And even then, it only decreases in brightness by about 10%. So it's still very, very good for other issues, and can still work extremely well, even if the intensity was to slowly go down just a little bit. Not going to make a difference. Okay. How should this is a question from Karen. How should I treat the gut biome with my Super Palm? Karen, what you do is just along your gut line, stomach area, you could spend about 5 minutes with the red, and I'd say about 10-15 minutes with the near infrared across that whole area. That is not quite as fast as treating the very large area with a mini canopy, obviously, but I do know that that's very possible to be helpful on the on that. And so what about below the waist? People, by the way, use it for groin issues, also other areas of challenges. So it can really help with gut health, the gut biome. And as a matter of fact, as even Blaise had mentioned, those that have different types of autoimmune disorders, sometimes there can be a tie-in with the gut, and to use the light on the gut, it'll help their autoimmune situation. And with rheumatoid arthritis, one of the autoimmune disorders, could be very, very helpful. Okay, Gladys is asking, why do some people say you wear eye protection while using light devices? And it really depends. Some of that's come from the first devices out there were made of lasers. And a laser is a very, very sharp point of light that stays as a point of light. So you could imagine I could, with a laser, I can shoot a beam across the room. So if I had, and it still stays as a dot. So if I had one of the more powerful laser devices, I could literally go across the room, go into somebody's eyeball through the pupil and damage the retina because it's such a hot spot of light. But what happens with LED devices, like what we make, there isn't that high power density. So if I put this up to this piece of paper, and I pull it back, I just end up getting a larger area. So very, very quickly, the area increases, but it's extremely uniform. There are no hot spots on the back of the eye to cause issues. Now, I do recommend that if people are using it, first of all, not to stare at the light. Okay, you wouldn't stare at the sun. You don't stare. Do you look up at the sun sometimes just as a quick look up? Yeah, but usually you blink your eyes, and also you don't stay there very long. You should not stare at the sun. You should not stare at our device. But people have used, if you get a quick look at it, sometimes if you happen to look long enough, you may notice the colors have changed in the room a little bit, but then they change back after 30 seconds, a minute. So it's not harming your eyes. It's called red saturation. But if a person did want to treat their eyes, they want to close for eye health of different kinds, they want to close their eyelids, and use the bright red. Now, if you find the bright red a little too bright, up against, just basically against the your cheekbone and your forehead, you can always pull it back a little bit if you feel a little too uncomfortable. But with the eyelids closed, you're doing 1 minute of the red and then 1 minute of the near infrared. And this is extremely helpful, and we've seen some beautiful things happen. And you should always check with your eye specialist, but a lot of times they will not know about this. I'll just give you an example. Many optometrists would not be aware of a new company called Velita that has a light device that they tried for 5 years to get it through FDA to treat dry macular degeneration. But they had, even though they're an American company, they were able to get it approved in Europe far faster, much, much faster. And Europe, it's a standard of care for dry macular degeneration. There was a study done and shown how much it can help the eyes to improve from dry macular degeneration. As a matter of fact, the company, just for treating the eyes, this company did so well in how many people they treated and everything, and they finally did get the FDA approval, that they were just bought by Alcon, which is a huge lens manufacturer, contact lens manufacturer. I believe they make other eye products as well, but they bought it. Now, the only challenge that I see there is the treatments were in the thousands of dollars to get some light treatments. And we basically have, if you do the 1 minute and 1 minute, you're looking at a very similar amount of light that's coming into the eye. So coming back to your question, that because we are not laser based, we're not damaging the retina. And as long as you don't stare at the thing for a long period of time, you're not going to have any effect, negative effect to that. But I would recommend, if you are doing closer treatments, you can do 1 minute if you're looking for your eyes. If you wanted to go, let's say, under the mini canopy and you feel uncomfortable, you could always wear special glasses that are blocking glasses if you felt uncomfortable for any reason. But so far, I have people that have been treating their eyes for over a year and a half now, and there's no issues to their eyes while using this. Tim is asking, where do you use the handheld with sleeping problems? I do not know. I would say that just to do treatments all across the whole brain, there's a good shot that you, sorry, that's another thing. Thank you. There's also some acupuncture points. Thank you for mentioning that. There's also some acupuncture points that if you treat the hands, there's some benefit to that as well for sleep. But I do know that you can treat the entire brain. We've had people that have used the helmet. I mean, that's 10 of the palm lights, 10 of the professional palm lights, this device here. People that have done the 1 minute treatment with the red and 3 minutes with the near infrared, they just feel so comfortable and so relaxed after the treatment. They could fall asleep. The other thing is you want to make sure some people that can actually help speed up the everything going on and start getting wired. So for some, you might not want to treat after supper time, let's say. I do know of somebody who has had that. Okay, Carolyn is asking, can you use the Super Palm for cataracts? And thank you, by the way, for everyone who sends in their questions. It really helps with people understanding more aspects of the light and what it can do. Okay, can you use the Super Palm for cataracts? Absolutely. We've heard some good reports. Now, I am waiting for the day when somebody comes that wants to do a study. When it comes to a study, if you try to do a study with 100 people, you'd have to have $1 million lined up to do a study like that. Anybody out there in the listening audience want to support one of our studies? I would love to go for it. As a matter of fact, we got some new stuff happening coming up with autism and other types of cognitive things that will move more into the research, just like we had the research study that was done by Jennifer over at Shepherd's University, where they did the opiate addiction and depression. So what you'd use is both wavelengths, the red and near infrared for the eyes, with the eyelids closed, 1 minute of each on the eyes. And you could always step that up to 2 times a day if you have some significant issues. Not an issue there, but we just kind of figure 1 minute is enough energy to help in that situation. I'm not a medical doctor, by the way, and I can't recommend anything. I'm just suggesting if this was something that I had challenges with, this is what I would do. And you've heard the other people here of how, and especially how Blaise was able to use it for her clients. Okay, so Susan is saying if treating an arthritic, a rheumatoid arthritic hand, for example, I would treat the underarm, lymph, elbow, and then crease and lymph, and then down the wrist, then the fingers. Yes, and I think there's a spot you might even want to start right here. I think for lymphatic drainage, that's the highest point along the ladder, you could say, or the where it drains into. So you start there and work your way towards the problem area. So yeah, so and the other thing would be it would be worth giving it a try on the gut area. So and I've also got Gladys, thank you for the kind information that you're sharing. We have other people that have mentioned about using it in today's broadcast or podcast, all the different areas in the body that they've used it for. So that's neat. That's neat. Well, I want to thank everyone. I think we're on to our last question. That's what I see here. I want to congratulate once again Marilyn Lankowski, who won the ultimate, the Palm Ultimate for the month of July. Congratulations, Marilyn. And I'm sure you're going to find a lot of cool applications. And please make sure you share your light with others around you because you're using it. Sorry, I see one other quick question. Can you use the light on the thyroid? Yes, we've had people use the light on their thyroid. Basically, like 2 minutes of red, 3-4 minutes of the near infrared on. You could do it both sides like that. We've had people, and by the way, if you're on medication for that, definitely keep checking your levels, because you can actually, if you're hyper, you can go down to normal, and you may be still taking too much medication for your situation, or the other way around. But it will help you when you're hypo. It'll help you bring it into the normal range. So some people have seen improvement on different other parts, like whether they're hyper or hypo, even with nodules on the thyroid. So it's something that could very much help your situation. We saw one person, which is almost unheard of. Well, it is unheard of. Let's put it that way. They usually expect only a change in TSH over the course of a very little change, even in the course of a month. Usually it's like a month, 2 months, you get some change occurring. In one case, a person was hypo. They were at 21 with their TSH, and they were concerned they couldn't have a certain operation done that they needed done because their thyroid was so out of whack. Their TSH, T4, T3 levels were so out of range. And she started using the light with her endocrinologist, watching what happened. In 5 days, she went from 21 to 6. And in another 5 days, she went with blood work. And another set of blood work was requested once again at day 10, and she was down to 1.7. So significant change in the course of 10 days. So anyways, I appreciate everyone for joining us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed tonight. And I want to thank you for coming on, and best to you if you get the shot of winning the unit in the month of August, or actually you get it in September. But anyways, all the best, and may you have God's richest blessings.